All right, so this is going to be focused on chapter 12 of Word, right? So we did chapter 11 about a week and a half ago, and then we went to chapter 1, so we're kind of bouncing back and forth. All right, but today we're going to focus on chapter 12 of Word, which would be the second chapter of Word. Now, that one. All right, so I have a Word document open. And basically how I create these, what I'm talking about today, guys, is I go through the simulation, look at the project, I look at the exam, and I kind of figure out which topics I think I need to cover. Every once in a while, there are topics in the project and the exam that aren't covered in the simulation. Kind of drives me a little bonkers. That's just the way this works. Right? I don't like it, but that's what it is. Right? So we're going to just kind of go through a whole bunch of things that kind of give you a good breadth, a good overall look at what we're going to cover, and then I'll get some questions from you guys, and we'll move on with our day. I don't think I have like a full 45-hour, 15 presentation on this, but maybe we'll get there. We'll see. All right, so you probably think of Word for editing text, and yes, that is a great use. That is really what it was. But for organization, making things look pretty, those types of things, Word obviously has way beyond. We can do pictures, we can formatting of the text. One of the big things they've added is tables. Now, if you know anything about Microsoft Office, you may think, well, tables are an Excel. Yes, you are 100% right. Really working with tables and data and that type of stuff, Excel would definitely be your better place to go. But sometimes you just want to, organize your text nicely and make it look like something. So we've got a lot going on here. Tables are definitely something that is nice. So to insert a table, we are going to start with the insert section. All right, so at the top of your screen, that would be right there. Anyway, so we're going to use that insert tab there, and that is going to allow us to select forward. You had, I believe you used this on one of the first assignments. You did insert and came up here the object file. Here we do that again. For the purposes of this, though, we're actually going to go with this little table section. Kind of small. Right? All right, but anyway, so we are going to select that exit button. Not exit. Do something else. All right, we're going to select the tables. Now, once we do this, we have the option now to instantly insert the table of up to 10 by 8. And it used to be if you actually click and drag, you could actually go bigger than that, but that's so if you need something bigger than 10 wide and 8 tall, all right, you would have to go to the insert table option. From there, you have number of columns, number of rows. So you can type what you want in. You have your autofit behaviors. Column width, you have autofit contents, autofit window. So you have a lot of options. We can change these autofit behaviors, but right now it's designed to do it in class. Anyway, it's designed to line fix it now, but you can change it out. It's really not that much. But here at the top of the table size. And again, you can change those sizes based on a little bit of give and take. Taking your best guess. I'll say 5 by 2. Right? And it's 5, which is your width, so it's the number wide by the number tall. 10 by 2 or 1 by 3 or whatever, it's how many wide by how many tall. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. You can move between cells just by using the tab buttons. Tab it around. It's kind of nice and convenient that way. You can also use your arrow keys to jump around. You do have text in here. All right, I use the arrow key down, it jumps me down, but if I have it here and it's left, it moves me inside that cell first. Where tab moves the whole cell at a time, no matter where you are. And then if you want to move backwards, shift tab, hold the shift button, hit tab, that will then move you back. A lot of capabilities there for moving around that path. That's it. We also have insert text inserting text. All right, so we already kind of covered that, I believe. So that was insert tab again. Object, text file. That's something that you guys have done or should have done already. All right, so anyway, we've done the insert text before. That shouldn't be anything. You also probably have done bullets. So over on the left here, lines we've done so far. So if we go ahead and type, 1, 2, some bullet, 1, some bullet. Right. So if we highlight those under home, we have a lot of options for straight up bullets. So you've got straight up bullets and you've got number of related bullets. Or we even have, so there's a lot of options. You can use a drop down, pick what you want the symbol for your bullet to be. You can actually find the bullet. There's a lot of capabilities. It is something that's fun to go play around with. But with this, if we hit tab, if we select a bullet, we hit tab, it will index it, and now you get to go in from bullets to letters. And if you look at our listing here, this level, now at A, then I1, A, I1. It changes what they are. Again, it's purely for organization. All right. You also can use these arrow keys just to the right of the bullets. We've got the increase and then so you can move things around that. Now, if you wanted your bullets to be actually on the center of the page, not the left here, that is when these symbols right here on the top. Now, you may not have those. I don't know why we're decided we're going to leave the ruler off by default. All right, so by default, the ruler is not there, and it drives me absolutely mad. So under the View tab, there is a ruler checkbox. One of the first things I suggest you guys do, enable rulers and never turn them off, right? Because for things like this, and moving these bullets around, the 3-inch mark or the 1-inch mark, whatever, it's very, very useful. You can also move the bullets closer if you want to move the bullets closer. Now, if I tab this over, it change, so you might have to copy your formatting. But anyway, it's just very handy to have that ruler there. So lots of options. Now, one of the interesting things that when I learned, it's very late in my career, and it's definitely something that is very useful. There's things I'll talk about for the next time, chapter. I'm like, these aren't things that look once things you should know, but they're things like. Anyway, where was it? Oh, the format. So on the home tab, under the clipboard option, there is this format painter right here. So let's say that we've done some crazy things here, and you make a spread, and you're like, I don't like the Hugo font, I want to be Roman, and blah, 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 blah. All right, so you can also, if you want to make this, all of these the same. So you can highlight it all and do it again, but you already have an example. If you notice, my mouse has like a little paintbrush. So I can just highlight this text here, and bam, it changes that format to that. So it's really convenient if you're like, all right, I'm going to go through and change all of my headings. Do that. Now you do notice that when I click that format painter button, it only let me do it once. If I do it, that box, that format painter up here, it's not highlighted. Highlight something else again, nothing. But if I highlight something and I double click format painter, now it stays on until I tell it to turn off. Now I have to click format painter again. So again, if you try to change all the headings in your document, all same font, style, size, whatever, because APA format or MLA format, it is a very useful tool to be out of that format. Now, having said that, you should really use styles for headings because it's all in a few clicks. A little give and take, and something to come back to. Super duper handy. Now, if we go back to our table here. Someone have a question? Oh, okay. Just Anyway, so back to tables. We're jumping around a little bit. So we have recently saved. So you can make, you can change the size of these cells. I talked about that when we did the whole insert table and column with auto, column with contents, window. There you go, lots of options. Right, but if you didn't do that ahead of time, you can manually drag things around. Like, hey, this one here, there. It's like normally you want to adjust the right side to it. Like right now, it's really adjusting the table of cell 1, not cell 4. Then I can adjust cell 2, and then I can increase width, or width here, and then when I do 5, you'll notice the table just right. That's why I say you really want to work from the cell on the left. Really move the line that's to the right of the cell. Technically, moving this one does adjust the cell with the column 2, but it's really also adjusting column 1. Now, it's going to do that until you get to the end, so it's a little bit of it. We can adjust them that way. Also, if you remember, sometimes we get things that have specialty tabs. So, table tools, we do have specialty tabs here. If you go to the layout one, we have a whole section on cell size. Okay. Whole section. So you can see that our current height is 1 inches and our current width of this cell is 0.81. You can click here, you can change it, you can type in, I want it to be 5. Boom, and it will change to 0.81. You also have distribute rows, so it will all the rows the same height. Columns, columns the same height. So it gives you a lot of capability. So distribute rows and columns, they may act a little funky if you're working, but definitely. So I'm going to put some text in these cells to have some. Right. 2 really long. So we also have an autofit option. Whole table, I can do autofit. Again, here we have contents, so it makes it pretty tight to the words. You can see the spacing to the left of the text and to the right of the text is the same size, which is very convenient if you're trying to get that nice. We have autofit window, right? So that takes the whole width of the Word document. If we look at the top of it, you can see that it goes from margin to margin. There. Really convenient. Page. Next column width. Set them all at the same spot. So that one's actually. Anyway, so again, one of those things that you can go play with and see how it's going to work and what it's actually. Autofit is definitely okay. It brings us down to this cap page. We don't want all that extra. So we did talk about that. Picking your table size important right off the bat. Now, if you do screw up and you make a table, and you're like, darn it, I wish I had an extra column or an extra row. Again, the easiest way to add them under layout is we have insert above, below, left, or right. So I can put I there right now. If I do an insert above, it's going to create a new row. If I click insert left, it's one to the left of that. Right. To the right of that. So it is overall very convenient to be specific where it's going. Now, if you're like, okay, I want to do this a slightly different way, and if I just put my mouse at the top left corner of the row, the plus sign will show up, and it's like, I'm going to put a new row right here, right above it. Same thing happens if you go to the top. You can kind of say, I want to move one there. Cool. You can do that by clicking on this little plus sign. You also can right click and insert column left, right, below. There are a lot of different options. Next, we have table margins. All right, so that would be again, table tools, layout, and over here under outline. So there's a button for cell margins. So you can see right here the default cell margins. On the top we have 0 inches, bottom we have 0 inches, margins left we have 0.08. Right. You could change these numbers to quarter inch. Right. And you can see how our cell adjusts quarter inch from the line to the text cell. Do an auto fit contents here. And we have a much bigger space to the right and left. So it's definitely nice to be able to change it. Sometimes you're like, not sure. I mean, if it's on one page or something. Those cell margins are very just kind of like changing the document. Margins on the action. Layout. And then last but not least that we want to talk about is splitting and merging cells. I can split this cell, how many cells I want to do. Now you see stuff now is not lined up. We have an extra cell in that column. That's really annoying. If I need an extra cell or one merge cell. So if you want to merge some cells, you just highlight the cells you want to merge, cells, one big cell. And again, this might make an adding. But sometimes you're like, I just want like a title cell across the top. So that can be right across the top. And it comes down to your personal preference, how you want. So merging is something I definitely do. If you try to merge something that already has text in it, these two, sometimes it yells at you, sometimes it doesn't. Notice how they still drag it. Our width. Really do not like. And that causes. So sometimes you're going to use this happening down here. All right, so down here we've got a table created, and again, it's purely for layout. Wants to make. Could you leave the lines here? Yeah. If that's what you want to do, by all means, you can do that, and that's your preference. That's what you think looks the best, right? For one of your assignments, the exam document I'm working on right now, they're like, we don't want you to have any lines on this. And there are a lot of different options. Typical line and border. You can do no borders, all borders, top, left, right, outside, inside, angle border, outline. So there's a lot of fun things that you can do. Lines. Right, and then you can also change your thickness, or color, or style. Like a lot of different. That's something that I think it's kind of fun to come play around with. Also, over on the far left, there's table style options. So that might be important. It's not important. I don't think I saw talk about this, but it's definitely something. You have your standard table right here. And I have quite a better. I guess this is really cheap. Go ahead and pick a style for this. All right, so let's step in here. So here you can see how we've got a white one, a gray, a white. Trying to like look at a big table and follow lines across, doing it banded. You don't want that. Banded rows come off. You banded columns. Do both. say I've got a header row. Notice the only difference on this style that we're using now is that first underneath the first row becomes a solid dark line. That can also change color of the row. Lines between that. It's again, it's really like a personal preference of what you or what are you being told to do. Those are styles. Your table 4 accent. I really wish that these like your table 1 that we you'll be selecting this. All right, so that was moving borders. Oh, there's also a custom moving borders and moving borders and shape. There is also page borders, borders on tablets, tables, and shadings. Yeah, you're going to have to come. One of the things they're telling you to do just the first row, 1.5. Over here, click where you want that border. Top left and right. Okay. Top left. So it allows you to like you get to pick your new things on the top. It's kind of nice that you pick specifically where. Not always a perfect system, but it does work. And the other thing I do like to point out is, let's just say I wanted to do just these. Highlight those two, and now when I do outside, you can see it's just the outside of those two cells that I have. Border on the inside, no border on the whole outside. So when you are using this border selection tool here, it's about the cells that you have selected. So like right now, I'm inside of this cell. So when I say upgrade border or all just this one cell. Table, now it's doing. So you can fill this up how you like. Now that does, to me, get very annoying. If you look at my schedule for this class, you'll see that that thing's grouped in specific ways. You know, it's sometimes it's 2 rows, sometimes it's 3 rows, sometimes 2 styles fine. It gets really annoying for me to select all the right cells, and that's happening in cell section. It's the same process, but it's just like you have to manually go like these are the ones that I want to port. These are the ones that I want to port. Kind of selecting. A little annoying to get it all set up. But once you I haven't looked at any questions. No questions. All right, let's see. We've got that. Let's painter. All right. One thing we haven't done yet is layout tabs or spacing. All right. So again, this is the, and they tell you to do this. They want you. So this is what's called the inside address. So we have a date, and we have person we're mailing it to, and then we have the address of that person. And this normally, you know, you want like this. The address all nice. Like, you don't want them far apart. So you have to kind of get this set up. Now, technically, we could select the first 3 rows here and just hit no space. But if you notice by doing that, we've changed our font type. Our calibrate. We're at field. So we don't want to just change it to no space. Your paragraph. This right here, right? And now here is where we've got. We have a spacing. So that spacing when we change it right now after set point correctly. Okay, you now notice there's no space. Just those 3 lines. That's what I highlighted. We did want to highlight this last line because we still didn't want this gap here. So you have to be kind of careful about that. Now, technically, we could have highlighted this one, space before, and set that to this one's 0. Notice that there's still that gap there, still an 8-point gap. Because this one is now taking up where it's applying that. You can do before, you can do after, and again, it comes down to how do you want to have stuff. So it's very important. Just right. There again, there's any like small configuration. Don't add space between paragraphs to the same files. Like click that button. You can see this one's now close. Now, if I enter, right, I would start typing right now, and they're really tight. If I would make this heading 1, now I've got space between. So it's definitely a give and take. That's it. Don't add space between paragraphs. Like will come into effect. All right, so just kind of to be aware of that space. All right. Well, Word, if you don't know, has a spell check built into it, which is absolutely wonderful. If we do the review tab, then we have spelling and grammar right there. This pops up over here on the right-hand side and highlights things. It's like, is this spelled correctly? You know, you have to then read it and go, let's tell you right where your sentence is. I believe I have a necessary skills in education. Okay, and it tells you suggestions of what I think it should believe, and it tells you actually other terms. Trust and think. Yes, that's the term. See, you know, crossword follows. So now it's telling me we've got a grammar issue, right? Done by this double little overline A. There's misspelling with red, right? Grammar is blue. So now it's saying, hey, it should be A. All right. Now this is telling you about cute apparel. All right. Most likely, cute is not supposed to be tight or cute or cute. Right? It's probably the name of the company. So you have the option to ignore it once. If you do that, only it stays underlined. Anyway, so you have the option to ignore once, ignore all of references, or we have the option to. So in this case, ignore once is saying in this specific instance, right, don't bring it up again. That is verify down here. I'll check. All right, so I say ignore once, but it still pops me down here and saying, hey, is this one right? All right. So that's what the ignore once does. It didn't used to work that way. Now it's probably been a few versions of words that did not place changed it. But anyway, so ignore once is saying for this specific instance, we can ignore my misspelling of it. I used to do ignore once, it would just say, okay, let's go to the next one. If they've changed up how it works. All right. So if it tells you to make spelling and grammar mistakes, make sure you're actually reading what the changes you're doing are, because it doesn't just want you to blindly say yes, yes, yes. That's accept all the changes. No. It wants you to actually read them and go, yes, that's the change I want to make. No, that's not a change. We definitely do need to be what also is a thesaurus, so the thesaurus button up here. So if I click on communicating, right, and then I can use it in thesaurus. There we go. But again, it's a synonyms is really what they want to. Sorry. So anyway, you should be like, it's communicating. I like the term collaborate. So you can just right click and change that. Now, the one thing I will tell you guys, if in the simulation, it cares how you go from point A to point B. It's expecting you to follow a specific path. Like we're trying to teach you how to use the synonym tools, forcing you to do this. All right. For the project and the exam, it doesn't care how you go from point A to point B, as long as you have everything correct down to the period, underline, whatever the case. Now, like hand typing in the footer and typing your file name in, that is different than using the document the file name button. They look the exact same, but in the background for Word, it's different. So it doesn't really care how you get there. It doesn't care that I just double click and then document file name. Could have also done document property, whatever the case. There's other ways for me. So it doesn't really care how you get there, but as long as it's like change this word using the synonym tool to this word, you don't actually have to do the synonym tool. You can type it in and you'll be learning about it. So it's definitely nice to follow the instructions, but if it's telling you to do something and you're like, I can't figure out how to do it the correct way, but I know I have to do it way B, C, or E, it doesn't know how you did it. Or it is the right word. Something like time command, all right. It's going to ask you to put a time and date. So again, here, told it to put the date and time in. So I did insert and I did date and time. And it says which format do you want to use, and it told me use the third one. Now there is a fun checkbox right here. It says update automatic. Now it's not checked. And one that passes. All right, so now it says 918 and 10:47. I save this. This open it. 35:47. Now it says 10:36:01. So now you can see how this is a field that's updated. So again, there's a difference. If I just do that same exact process, time, I check this button, I one. Now it's just regular old text that I can highlight it. Where this one is a field that I can say update. Open the document. That may be helpful or that may be annoying for you to have it automatically up. So something that you need to think about. If it's a document that you need to track when changes were made, having it auto update is wonderful. Every time you save it, it saves the date that you changed something. Doesn't really matter. You just want to set big dates and then go back and look at this when I letter. Don't want the auto update. So it is a little bit of a difference. So make sure you have that. I think I mentioned this already, but this is the inside address. Right? So we have an address up here, and then down here we have what's called the time paragraphs. After we got all right, control plus home. All right, so they want you to do this in the simulation. I hit control home, it jumps me to the very top of the document. Now, if you don't know where the home button is, use it. On a traditional, normal desktop keyboard, above the arrow keys, there's that set of 6 buttons. Right, that's insert, home, page up, delete, and page down. I'm gonna guess control N takes you to the very bottom of the document. Home up, down, page up takes you up to the top of the pages, page down, what you can see. So right now, our relevant experience, we hit page down, takes us to qualification. So those buttons are great. If you're on a laptop, most likely it's a function something. It might be one of the F buttons, it might be the number pad. It really just depends on the laptop that you're using. So when in the assignment, it's like do control home, you may have to do control function, blue text or whatever. Just be aware of that. Or when you're in simulation, again, because you have to do it that way, use that on-screen keyboard. Hold control and hit home. And the instructions actually do tell you that the control home is. It is nice that they do reference that. So, or if you're on a Mac, you get the button control layout that you might. So that would be your control home, right? And then, one of my favorite tools, right? If you do control F, right, this leads you to a navigation screen on the right. You can find something. Be like, where is the letter A? Right? You can see how it highlights every letter A. A space, now it's just going to do an A followed by a space. If you now notice over here, the results, it says 14 of them, and you now can click through to see all 14. Before I had that space, I just had A. It told me that there are too many results to show because there's 179. That's definitely. But next to A, you have an X, and then you have a little drop down. We actually have the option to replace. So you could say, let me find the word as. Actually, let's find the number 1 and replace that with 4. So you could do find next. Say, here's the number 1, and now I can replace button. Here's another one, replace. You can also hit the replace all, which is blindly replaces everything in your document. That's not very good if you're trying to replace. So let's say I want to find the word in. It's that with not. If I did find here, it's not the word. It's looking for in, in. It's looking for just the letters. So I found it in the middle of marketing. So it's in replace now. Now mark ought in. Market ought. No, I don't think that. But if you get this more option, there's a button that says find whole words only. So now when I do find X, it doesn't find it there. This is, oh, here's the word in by itself. Nothing before, nothing after it. All right. So you can see how it's finding different things when I have this checked in my willing interview, begin. So that find whole words only is super important. Also, you notice you have match case, wildcards, when these like asterisks or something. So not quite sure how the wildcards work. Really use wildcards. Linux. That's slightly different. Anyway, so it allows you to use some special searching options. Up, down, all, you can also adding character. A lot of options. It's definitely that find and replace. And notice there was an advanced line. Just like the replace, because it is just a option. That find and replace is super awesome. And then the last thing I think I want to talk about, I think I've covered everything else, is centering. Right? So under home, right, we have paragraph, and we have these options. So if I highlight over Mr. Joseph James President, right now we have a left just line left, or left justification. If I do a line right, it pops to the other border. If I do the middle, if I do the last one, it normally like picks it, spreads it out so it's a whole paragraph. If I do this, you can see now this is now perfectly lined up with the for partial word, but for partial sentence or partial lines, it doesn't do it. But for lines that touch the net, go to the next one. It does. And what this does is this spreads out all your space. And this is what you probably would see like paper. Like formatting or whatever the case is. That's not my cup. But it is there. Right? So anyway, we have that as an option. But anyway, if I did that to this, highlight that text and I hit center, right? It does it to the table. Right? I click on the table, and now it moves it to the center. So there's different ways to go about text. So if I click on select the whole table, the top little plus arrow movement thing, I can now move it around. If I actually highlight text inside of this, good. Now it's just moving that text. Right? You have to be kind of careful about this because under the layout tab, we also have alignment options. Right? These are a little different. We actually have more alignment options. If I go back to the layout, alignment, you have top left, top middle, top right, you have middle, middle left, middle right, bottom left, bottom right, middle. These are mainly meant for modifying the text inside the table. And then in the home tab, when you're done with the table, it's really saying, notice, you'll see that the array table in the middle of the document. Anyway, so you'll kind of see that centering the table is different than centering the text. Just something to be kind of aware. Beautiful. All right. So I think that ends my presentation for today. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next Wednesday.